Drawing 2, truncated cone. The cones, we know this is round down below, comes to a point and an apex at the top. We've got our base, this one's truncated, so the top's been cut off, and our sloping side. So we'll go ahead and we'll draw this. We don't need to draw the whole view, just a half will do. Plus we do not need to draw a bottom or a top, and the other side looks just like that anyway. So let's go ahead and we'll draw this. So here we are. We like to keep everything tight to the left and tight down below for maximum room for patterns. So for this one, we just went 10 millimeters over for a center line of this cone, and we came 10 millimeters up for a baseline at the bottom to allow all that room there. We're 65 for the radius at the bottom. We are 162.5 to our apex, and we're 100 to our truncated. Okay, we are ready to make our pattern. Nothing's faster than just a concentric cone. So hopefully your dividers open all this distance. Need a fairly large dividers. If it does not, you're going to need the extension arm that goes on there. So this one here will just make it. And we're going to build this right off of here. Simple that way. That's all the room this is going to take up. So we had lots of room, but that's okay. We're just going to keep it over here. Okay, we got a little bit of math here because we have to use our flexible ruler and measure along the bottom or the base. So this base here was 65, so 130 diameter. So 130 times pi to get our circumference. 408.4. I don't think we'll have room there, so we'll divide this by 2. We got 204. So we're going to do a half pattern here. A full pattern might have fit right here. We did that on the last one, drawing 1. But this one I thought I'd try to do a little bit differently coming off of here. Okay, so also if we divide that by 6, we can get the arc length of our quarters. Or I guess those would be our 1/6. So maybe if we divide into quarter or divide in half again might even be better for this one. And then we can just divide into quarters. That'd be simpler. So we'll divide in 2 one more time. .102.1. So that'll be easier there than trying to divide into something even smaller. So let's go ahead, we'll measure on this curve. So we're going to go 102. Again, this is only as accurate as you could measure with your ruler. Next year in level 3, we'll use other triangulations for this to do chord distances. You can math all this out as well. But this is always the easiest method, least amount of math, full layout. Okay, and again, this is just going to be a 1/2 pattern. I might be able to get one more in here, but we generally do not do a 3/4 pattern. I guess you could do a 3/4 and then lay over top, but we're just going to do a 1/2 pattern for this. Okay. We'll put a center line on here, also known as a quarter mark. And we've truncated this, so we've got the top here as well. So we'll cut this off. go. Realistically, I guess all we really would have needed was a quarter pattern, but then we'd have to flip it 4 times. Half pattern's not too bad. You can lay this out, flip it over, mark the other side. So as long as your seam is good and you're square, you'd have to use a square line and measure, and then that would be just fine. So for this one here, we'll identify it. We'll use this as our center of our half pattern here. Put some quarter marks on here. And we'll go through the list here. Same thing as we did before, and just identify through the list starting at the top. Okay. So for this one here, I'm just going to line mine up with the pattern here. And just put your name. Date, project name, here's a truncated cone. It's drawing number 2. This one here is a half pattern. And we have our center line established. Our bend lines, we'll just do a roll for this one, so a form 2. You can use the press brake or the rolls, depending on the size. Use a 130 for this. So form to 130. I'd have to measure the top here for the top. Looks like we're about at 25, so we'll form to 25. That would be a diameter. And then from there, we just have our quarter marks and our shear. We'll shear off here. We will have to burn this one. We'll be able to shear it. These will be burn lines. B for burn lines, S for shear. Nice and clear, everything's straight on here. All the information in there for a pattern for somebody to pick up and identify and use. And after that, you can print off the full scale patterns. And you can double check with that. A couple extra lines on here was just because it was divided into 12ths. That's all that was. So just dividing those into 12s into 30-degree sections, and we'll do that with the next ones coming up. But this is all we have to do for this one here. We'll work just fine. Okay, there's